you tell us your name?
Jerry Walker.
And what would you like to say about Putnam County?
I came to the Ocklawaha in '61 from Germany. And shortly after, I met someone from Germany in the forest. The tourists, you have no clue how many tourists come here. It's amazing. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. But I got involved with as a director in the Florida Wildlife Federation and did some genetic research on the cypress trees, which we discovered down in the Ocklawaha Basin. And it went from there. I grew up in that kind of environment and sought it out as rest. You know, it's the peacefulness and the beauty, which is nowhere else. Everywhere I've been in Florida, it's all a little different. But this basin, this Ocklawaha Basin, is totally unique and priceless. If we can keep the politicians from destroying it, which is the public's desire, you know, it's definitely worth it.
And how can we show the politicians that tourism in here is really important?
There's nothing you can do to a politician. He has one purpose, and that's financial gain. And they have no morals. And you have to understand, you cannot ask them to do something. They do not represent the public. They never have. In 35 years have I seen a political entity come out of Tallahassee that represented the public. They'll lie to you, but their only purpose is to transfer wealth from the people that work to their constituents. But that's an opinion. And that pollution is of no matter, which is the strangest thing. I've never met anyone that was pro-pollution. And we have a serious problem, and that's pollution. And besides growth and all the others, but pollution is really the threat to the state. And it has no value in any governmental, you know, they act, they talk the talk. But when it comes down to campaign contributions and lobbyists, they never vote in the public's favor. And the public has to be adamant, and they can't be polite and ask. They have to demand, and only under those circumstances, when you get them in the political limelight, and that they are definitely a thief, and they're definitely going to do something that's devastating to the environment, then you can stop them, but only by that kind of exposure. If you ask them to, they won't do it. They'll just ignore you.
Tell them about the giant cypress.
The giant cypress was just a genetic strain that was down on the Ocklawaha. And in all the cypress stands that are up and down the Ocklawaha, they discovered that the fastest growing varieties grow there. Very phenomenal, of all the varieties of cypress that are in the States. And we were doing some genetic research on reclamation. And they were taking species of all the native vegetation to restore the phosphate mining and other devastation, and they overlooked the genetics, and they planted incredible amounts of inferior growth for reclamation projects that wasn't adequate. They planted wetland species in highlands and highland species in wetlands, and just accidentally we discovered some of the varieties, and the forestry department went statewide and picked out the more genetically valuable species that we reproduce, and I think they've changed quite a bit of that. They've gone from rather availability of seeds to genetic viability and preferable growth.
Do you have any fantastic memories to share of the Ocklawaha River?
I couldn't tell you all of them. You know, some of the things we've seen and discovered, and most of it was with wildlife, some of it was with weather, but the change from the day the dam was built, everything started to change. And then, of course, the destruction went on through the Rodman all the way to Eureka. And everything that was flooded, it was just the devastation was horrible. And, I know it was an improvement that they considered, but it was horrible what we saw changing. The disappearance of the wildlife, the exotic invasions of the plants, even the fish species that were totally cut off from Silver Springs. It was one thing after another. It's absolutely terrible. But it's all fixable, I'll say. You know, like the term we use in the South is to fix it. You know, and all we'd have to do is just undo some of the damage to repair a lot of the damage. It's very feasible. I'm always optimistic on that line. But once it goes into the political realm, it has environment and has no value.
Was there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I think that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.